Can I just say one thing before we get started?
Mm-hmm.
It's the middle of the day on a Wednesday, week, I would say day 10, 12 of the pandemic isolation in our area. I know it was in other places before it was here. And so other people are further along. But 10 days in, I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah. Everybody's feeling it, and we're no exception.
There's a redbird out there on the bush. Do you see it?
Yeah.
There's a little pieces of this that make me, I don't know, stay alive. Just seeing the beautiful life around.
This time brings up everything.
It does.
And if we're going to continue recording, if we're going to continue having these conversations, I would like to go somewhere.
Okay.
I would like to go to a massive factor in myself and therefore this relationship. And that is avoidance. Avoidance specifically in me as a male. I'm not just talking about avoidance on a human level. I'm talking about avoidance as a man, especially as a man in the trajectory of our time together and our time moving forward. The topic of avoidance, and feel free, please, to ask questions or, whatever. The topic of avoidance has two parts, the past and the future. And so, in going to the past, my history has been avoidance. It has been my opiate of choice. And I use opiate specifically on purpose. Avoidance has been the way that I live life. And avoidance, for me as a man, has felt like something is wrong. I don't want to go certain places. I have experienced certain things, and therefore I am going to live a life that is detached from myself. I'm going to live a life detached from my personality. I'm going to live a life detached from my hands.
Why?
Because I felt I had to avoid pain. I had to avoid failure. I had to avoid disappointment. And because I wasn't fitting in I was trying very hard to fit into the accepted male persona, the male image.
White male image.
White male image. And race plays a factor as well. I am a white guy living in suburbia now, very, very ordinary. I did not grow up in suburbia.
No.
And so that's what I was detached. That's why I was detaching. Why I was avoiding.
How long? Oh, guys, maybe what's your earliest memory of not avoiding? Or have you been avoiding for as long as you can remember?
I am not avoiding when I do something that I want to do. And I did not let myself do things that I wanted to do. Inside, way deep inside.
I was going to say, I don't know if I had known you to want anything, ever, except for over the last couple of months. Like, I haven't known you to have desires, to have dreams, to have, like, you would talk about maybe some days, but you were like detached from those maybe some days. It was more like you were telling yourself a story that was outside of yourself, that you would never achieve or never embrace as your own.
That's correct. There were flashes You have only known flashes. They are flash in the pans. For example, when I decided I was going to learn how to make sushi, I did that.
That was part of your shifting and changing.
That actually was one of the steps of coming into this place, this acceptance. Another was, I'm going to run a half marathon.
Oh, yeah.
And we did that. I ran that sick.
You did. Fever.
Yes. So you have only known flashes in the pan of non-avoidance.
Well, let's go so far as to say you also lost 100 pounds.
That too.
That was a really big decision, and probably the only follow through that you had given yourself the permission to do, to choose yourself.
Correct. It remains an active choice. It remains at this point in time, while it's still not part of the nature of who I am, I'm getting there fast. Great strides. It remains a constant choice. And in the past...
When you say it remains a constant choice, what do you mean?
Present, being who I am, being the man that I am to be.
So to say it succinctly, you are a recovering avoidant addict.
I am a recovering avoidant addict male. I just want to put the gender in there. That's my identification. That's what I am. When I say it's a constant choice, that means that feeling myself and being open to life, new, real, vivid, authentic, it's beginning to come natural now. That is the future of, that's part 2 of what I want to say in avoidance. It still takes work, but I find that work happens now automatically. I find that it is now instead flashes in the pan where I catch myself avoiding, because it does still happen. And I asked you to do that. You know, you did it in the past because you had to, and now I'm asking you to. And that's part of this relationship. If we're committed to 100% honesty, that's necessary moving forward. There are flashes in the pan of times where I choose, and it's a deliberate choice. I can say, oh, I caught myself, or oh, it came out of nowhere. No, it didn't. I made that choice, and whether that choice was consciously at the front of my brain or subconsciously, it remains a choice. Yes.
I do see that when it is the flashes in the pan now, because it is new habits, I do find that I have a visceral response to your avoidance, and I'm uber sensitive to it because I lived with it for so long. But I can now, I've always been able to kind of see when it started, when the cycle depth starts, and I'm super dialed into that. And before, I couldn't really talk to you about it without a reaction. It's like talking to an addict about their drug abuse. There's no such thing. And that's how it was with you. And now, when I say something, there's an honest, open conversation about it. And I can see where it starts. And it never gets, rarely, I can say, I'm not going to say never, but it rarely gets to using again.
Correct. And once in a great while, using happens. I use avoidance.
You do.
So I appreciate you saying that. Yes, you coming to me used to involve a reaction because I was defensive, or I was going to say to you, well, this is what...
You're avoidant.
This is what it is. And then I used to play, this is what guys are supposed to do card, or isn't this what a man is supposed to have in the construct of society.
And you would yell at me and say, what more do you want from me? I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm going this, I'm sacrificing myself for us. Like, you would throw out all the excuses of why what you're doing was valid.
Yeah.
And not eating you and us alive.
Correct. One of the things that changed is taking the clip out of the gun of excuses that I would have. You would come to me and you would say, hey, or, in the rare case where I would catch it within myself, I would have, 6 or 7 shots of here's what's supposed to be. And removing that ammunition clip all of a sudden it took away my excuses.
Mm-hmm.
It took away the excuses.
Mm-hmm.
This very conversation could have been avoided. I could have avoided and kind of wanted to avoid this conversation, but I am approaching you now and saying that I would like to have this, and here we are.
I think it's such a crucial part of our story and a crucial part of relationship story, or what are those things that we allow in to be residents and formative. And that was something that was so formative with us.
Agreed. You can make it as simple as the eye contact that we're having now. I enjoy eye contact with you, and I can have it, and I can really pierce inside you and let you pierce inside me.
But you couldn't before.
No. I had preconceived notions that I had to fulfill.
Mm-hmm.
Some from society, but let's be honest, many from myself.
And from the trauma of your past and learned behaviors.
Trauma is a conversation that is forthcoming in both of us.
In both of us.
And in fact, I would guess a lot of people, honestly, but I'm not going to speak for them. Moving forward, the path moving forward, present, I have to choose to feel myself. That part is coming more naturally, but I have to choose to feel myself. I have to choose to sit. I have to choose to recenter. I have to choose to grasp myself. I have to choose to feel these fingers. It is my responsibility to know what these fingers are doing, because if I am not guiding them, if I am not controlling them through me and my authentic self, then what's controlling them? What's controlling my time? What's controlling my love?
Mm-hmm.
What's controlling my attention?
So really you are learning how to be aware.
Correct.
How does it feel?
It feels like skateboarding. It feels like trying something and then falling and skinning your knee or skinning your elbow. It feels like picking up your skateboard, going back to the point where you started and trying it again, but it feels like maybe holding your body in a different position or putting your arms out more, trying it in a different way. Not trying just to try, but saying, let me reposition what I'm doing. Let me do this again authentically. What feels good? If I'm going down the hill, how does it feel to move my body in a certain position?
So you are learning to follow you.
Correct.
So you're becoming more one and integrated. It's not as logical. Like avoidant was a process in your brain. It was something that you processed through. Yes, it was a subconscious reaction internally. But as you're becoming aware, you're becoming aware of your thoughts. You're becoming aware of your feelings. I think the other day you told me that it's really the first time that you felt your thoughts and your feelings effortlessly merge into one.
Correct. Thoughts were brain activity, feelings were heart activity, and they were usually separated.
And you're feeling the integration happening as you're moving forward in this process.
Yes.
That's pretty powerful.
There is another facet to this. There's just one more thing. I am using the age of woman awareness and expansion of woman as a tool in my arsenal to have myself. Arsenal is a bad word because that sounds militant. I'm using the power of what women are doing and feeling and the choices they're making to be free. I am accepting and embracing that is a factor in why I decided to do what I am doing. The resources, the conversations that are being had, they are honestly quite essential in my acceptance of myself.
So
I guess I haven't told you that before.
no, that's huge, really. I mean, what I'm hearing you say, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the freedom, like there have been societally wrong constructs that you felt forced into, thus your avoidance. But then you also watched just a faulty environment around you, and you didn't even realize what you were seeing. And now that you see women breaking off what they're doing, it's kind of giving you permission to break off what you're doing, or giving you like an ability to step into your rightful place as you're seeing other people step, or other genders step into their rightful place.
Correct.
That's
I did that by choice and because I wanted to be part of humanity. Seeing those human beings decide to represent themselves and be honest with themselves, I wanted to be part of that. It just ignited a part of me that said, it came at a really good time for me. And so that's what was with avoidance, and what avoidance is now, and where presence is moving forward.
And we don't know what that looks like, and that's okay.
We're supposed to not know. We're not supposed to know what it looks like. That's one of the things I had to let go.